Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boss Babe Blog Podcast. I am your host, KeTohn. I'm the founder of BossBabeBlog.com, and today we're going to be talking about the topic of depression awareness. So today we have some lovely professionals joining us this evening to discuss their own experience when it comes to depression. The question that I'm asking these ladies is, have you ever experienced depression? And if you have, how are you able to continue your work, your life, your personal duties going through that? So what did you do to get through that, essentially? So each person is going to share, and then if they would like to, they're going to share what it was that actually placed them in that depression or why they were in that depression, so we can come up with some real life solutions. I know a lot of times people forget that mental health is not a one size fits all thing, number one. And number two, people forget that sometimes you might be feeling like one thing is a solution and the next person may not feel that way. So I just want us to all be able to talk about what we actually did to get out of it versus shaming or, just sharing what doesn't work. Let's talk about what did work to help us get through it. And if you're still going through it, that's okay. No judgment, because everyone has their ups and downs, but how are you coping? So now that we've done that, I have some amazing guests. We have Lacole joining us from AL Publishing and Consulting, LLC. We have, who is also a publishing coach. We have Ade joining us from Unique Vina RTW and Unique Vina Options Apparel. We have Stephanie joining us from Simply Noble Services. We have Charlie Stager joining us from Charlie Shops and CKD Home Staging. We have Conitra joining us from Bougie Steps Boutique. And we have MJ joining us, last but never least, CEO of Travel with MJ and MJ's Tees and Custom Designs. So thank you all, ladies, for joining. And who would like to go first on this topic? MJ? She said, I'll go. Okay, MJ, let me bring you to the big part of the screen, and please take it away and tell us about your experience.
So I would say that my big depression episode didn't happen to me as an adult, but it happened as a teenager. I was in an environment where I was not really appreciated. I was in an environment that I wasn't really loved. And it got me to the point where I was almost willing to end it all. I came really, really close to just being done. It was hard because it was my teenage years. Your teenage years, you're supposed to be enjoying life. You're getting ready to graduate high school. You're getting ready to go into college, and all the big events that was supposed to be there for me, I was overshadowed by somebody or something. It was never really about me. And it was really, really hard to deal with, because those are the moments that you are supposed to have that are yours. Those are the times where you're supposed to feel like you're the most important person, or you are the most important. Your event is the most important thing that's going on. It's rough. So as an adult, I do find myself sometimes where I am questioning a lot of things, because I never really had that "you did it, girl" type of family. And one of the biggest things that I know that I struggled with is a sense of belonging. Your family is supposed to be the first safe space that you're supposed to have. They're supposed to be the first group of people that's supposed to be your cheerleaders. They're supposed to be everything to you. And my family simply was not. I'm just gonna call it spade a spade. And it was really hard to really process that, because nobody wants to think that their family is out to just be their biggest hater. Nobody wants to think that their family is holding them back, hindering them, holding you from things that you were supposed to learn as a teenager. You were supposed to be allowed to make mistakes, but make mistakes in my household was not. It wasn't. I wasn't able to. I wasn't able to really grow up and be the person that I'm supposed to be. I've gone through a lot and I've dealt with a lot, but I'm happy to say that doesn't always affect me here as an adult. I do have my moments where I feel like I'm overly critical and overly hard on myself, and I just sit back and remind myself that I'm not where I used to be. I'm not where somebody else wants me to be. I'm not the mold that somebody else has for me. And I'm okay in embracing who I am. I'm okay in being MJ. And it took me a while to get here, like a while. But I'm happy to say that I'm not where I was as a freshman in high school, where I thought I wanted to call it quits. And I thought that I wanted to end it because nobody really showed up for me. Nobody was there for me. I wasn't able to do what I want to do. Now I'm able to do what I want to do with no hesitations, with no second guessing. If I want to go to this place, I want to go to that place, I'm going. And I can do that now as an adult versus as a kid when I was in an environment that wasn't really meant for me. So for those of you who might be in environments that are not for you, hold on until you can get out and then get out. Okay. I don't know how that looks for somebody, but for me, it was becoming an adult, going off to college, and then getting out. I made the decision that I was not going back. And you have to make that decision, because if you don't, you'll find yourself back in that spiral over and over and over. And that spiral can get really, really hard to get out of if you allow it to. So hold on until you can get out, and then get out. And make sure you're out for good.
Thank you for sharing that, MJ, and thank you for really being vulnerable about that. There's definitely a few things that stuck with me. So I want to give the next lady an opportunity to come on and share. But before I do, I just want to say I definitely commend you for continuing to push through that. And your advice, it resonates because everybody's situation is different. And so it's easy to tell someone, oh, just do this or just do that. But what you just said, which is hold on long enough for you to get out and then get out, that's something that a lot of people have to keep in their mind, whether they're going through an abusive relationship, whether they're in a household where they don't feel appreciated, whatever it is, hold on to your sanity and then go where you need to go. So I'm glad that you decided to do that. And we have you here with us today because you are definitely who you were meant to be. And you're here with people who love, appreciate, and value the services, the energy, and the support and encouragement that you bring. So heart, sending love. Okay, so who would like to go next? Okay, Charlie, let me go ahead and can you? Okay, Charlie, what do you have on this topic?
Hello, I'm Charlie Stager. And, as I'm entering my 60s, when I think about depression, a lot of it is through our DNA, especially as Black women. I don't care worldwide. It's always the Black woman who keeps everything afloat, but nobody gives the Black woman the support to keep everything afloat. So she's always on that treadmill, like the little hamster, just going. And a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves. As I was young, I never heard a lot of "I love you," "you beautiful," and those kind of things. There were some reasons for that in the home I was in. We were very transit. At one point, my parents got divorced. It was very rough for my mom to take care of two children as a single mom and having a single income household. And after a while, it got to me, so I decided to live with some other family members and not live with my mom. And as I went through college, I didn't have anybody really holding my hand like, this is what you do. I kind of stumbled through a lot of things. Thankfully, there was college advisors at school that kind of helped you. I kind of stumbled through life not having a rite of passage type of womanhood. And so I made a lot of mistakes. Mistakes. And those mistakes kind of pulled me down to the point that I was suffocating in my tears. And, I became a single mom myself, and, I had to do some medical treatment for my son at the time. And with getting him help, I was able to seek help myself vicarious through him. And then once I saw that, I need to do this just for me too, I got help. And so I still work with a mental professional and life coaches, and business coaches. So I tell anyone, don't try to do it alone. Because like MJ say, you'll just spiral out of control. And you never be able to kind of catch yourself up. You don't want to suffocate in your tears. And I know in our community, it can be taboo. The Black community, that is, especially Black women community, that we just supposed to go, 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 go. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just a little lazy, or you just feel tired, or just, sometimes you need some help. And some of that help is not only financially or spiritually, but mentally. And so I say to people, don't shy away or discount mental health professionals. God has given us everything we need, and those mental health professionals, they are some things God has given us. There's nothing wrong with counseling. There's nothing wrong with therapy. There's nothing wrong with taking medication if you have to. There's nothing wrong with those things. You have to do all three. It is what you have to do to keep yourself whole. Because if you're not whole, you're just giving people little pieces of yourself. And then eventually there'll be nothing left for you to give because you're going to self-destruct. So I encourage people to, seek help, professional help. It's great to have spouses. It's great to have best friends. It's great to have sisters and brothers. It's great to have clergymen or clergy persons, spiritual leaders. But it's also great to have certified, licensed mental health people to help you through your challenges. And depression is nothing to play with. We've seen several high-profile celebrities commit suicide, and it's based on depression. They either stop taking the medicine, or they're not taking therapy, or combination of both. So depression is very serious, and this country don't seem to take a lot of mental health things serious. But I'm here to tell you, please take it serious.
Thank you for sharing that, Charlie. I appreciate you. And I also understand the path that you were talking about, where it's like you kind of stumbling and you don't necessarily have that support, because I have loved ones. My mother had that same path. And so it can be a very scary thing. And like you said, it's not a negative thing to go and get help. And what you mentioned about, it's nice to have friends, it's nice to have spouses, but I've seen a lot of relationships and a lot of opportunities be ruined because people were not able to get out of that traumatic experience, and they're reliving that. And so they're projecting what they've gone through onto new relationships to the point where it becomes a little too much. I've seen that. I've had relationships where I had to distance myself or just let go because that person was stuck in that place. And depression, along with other moods, not always, but in some cases, can become almost contagious. Now, I don't want to, have people thinking that if you know someone that's going through depression, that means that you're going to be depressed. That's not what I'm saying when I'm saying that. What I'm saying is when you are consistently in this mood, you have your mental is low, the morale is low, and you're around someone who's consistently trying to uplift you and support you, but you can't get out of that, and you're not seeking or actively looking for help to get out of that. It's kind of hard for people to gauge that. Like, how do I stay? How do I help you? How do I support you? Without also putting myself into a spiral hole of, somewhere that I can't get out of. And so if you have depression and you're dealing with, or you're in a relationship with people who also have that, it's very important that you seek out the help that's right for you, because you could really be jeopardizing your relationship with another person. So I definitely resonate with that. And I've had times where I've had to step back or let go of a relationship because I know that I suffer from depression. And so because of that, there's certain things that I have to say no to. It's not even like an option for me. And so some people would look at it like it is, but it's not an option for me, my mental health. So I really resonate with that about asking for help. And then also us as Black women just going on that hamster wheel to make sure everybody else is taken care of. So thank you for sharing that. Who would like to go next? I'm squinting to try to see everybody's faces. I'll go next, and then whoever wants to go next, you can just put your hand up. But For me, so depression is something that I have known about for a while, so I don't necessarily have to, find that awareness, because it was a conversation that was had with me as I started to become a young woman, so that I could navigate my feelings and my emotions, because there's different types of depression. You have situational depression when there's something that happens to you and it places you in this situation where it's almost hard to get out, or maybe sometimes people never get out of it. And then there's hereditary depression, where the chemicals in your brain might be balanced a little differently and it does affect you. And we also have to play a part and factor in hormones, as a woman, when you're going through hormonal changes, when you're going through menopause, when you're going through pregnancy. There's so many changes that happen to us hormonally, that play a factor in our moods. And sometimes it may feel like maybe you're going through a depression. Sometimes it's your hormones playing tricks on you, and sometimes it could be both. And so having that self-awareness is really important, that even if you don't have a medical label on it, you understand this is an emotion that I'm experiencing right now. What is the root to it? Is it something that I really need to be feeling this way about? Am I overreacting? Am I underreacting? And how do I process this? How do I navigate what the next step is so that I can get out of this space? So I've had to do that from a pretty young age. But for me, I've had moments in my life that really did create, I would say, make my depression even worse. So the moment that I'm sharing is actually going to be when I lost my biological father. It put me in a really bad place emotionally, because it was kind of like all my life, I've always had my mother raise me. And so I've always had one parent. That's all I've known. And I met my father physically in person after probably about 17 years. On my 17th birthday was when I actually got to go and stand in front of my father and meet him. And even in that process, there was no acknowledgement for you not being here all this time. And so all those moments, all those memories, we didn't get a chance to have any of that. And so it was never addressed. And when he passed, it was kind of like a realization for me. And I might get a little emotional because it's hard to talk about sometimes, but I have to find a way to navigate through it. When you only have one parent and you lose your other parent, it's a realization that that is your world. I already knew my mother was my world, but once you lose your parent that you didn't have that relationship with, you realize that there's no chance of reconciliation. There's no opportunity for us to get to a place where I can have you in my life. There's no history. There's so much that's lost. And so I was really disappointed in that, because for anyone who knows me, history is a really big thing. Culture is a really big thing. And so to have that on my mother's side of my family, but then on my father's side of my family, not to have that, it's disappointing, because it's like when I have my children, there's a piece of me that I can't share. And you want to be angry, but you can't, because you have to accept that sometimes people are just not capable of supporting you in the way that you're looking for that support. And so during that time, I went through a phase where it was just like I was processing, but I wasn't. And I was trying to work through and navigate those emotions. And then not shortly after, but a little bit after, my father's brother, my uncle, someone that I was actually planning to meet in person so that we could spend more time together, so that I could meet his children, things like that, actually passed and was shot. So those emotions came just tumbling back in again. And it was like I couldn't put my finger on what to call it, but I could feel how I was feeling. And it was an overwhelming feeling. It was like feeling like just everything coming at once, like one thing after another. You have real life going on. You have trying to take care of your responsibilities. And then you have things like this happening and tumbling over you. And then you're also trying to achieve things for yourself. And so that was a really hard time for me. And what also made it difficult was that I did not necessarily have all of the support systems where they understood that. And I had often a lot of times where I just had to stand alone. And because I'd rather be by myself and be comfort to myself than to be in environments where people aren't understanding or really taking the time to give me what I need as a friend, as a partner, whatever the case may be. And so during that time, I have a lot of people who would try to tell me how I should grieve or how I should react to things. You should just go out. Let's go out. I had somebody ask me after I found out that my uncle was shot if I wanted to go out to the club? This was probably like within 2 weeks? And for them to actually really be asking me and pressuring me, making me feel like I don't want to do enough during this time. You go through things like that where it's like, just don't really want to be around anyone. And it's not healthy to alienate yourself, but it is healthy for you to understand that you have to truly love and like yourself, because in moments where you're going through things like that, you are going to be your biggest support system. Always feel comfortable asking for help from credible sources, not people who you're not really sure what their intentions are with the information that you give them. But like Charlie said, go to a professional, find someone that really helps you, an outlet. Fitness, health, dieting, those things are really important. And so for me to get past those moments, I focus on my fitness. I was going to the gym. I was pushing myself. And some people ask me like, why are you so focused on it? That's why, because on those days when I'm feeling really low, I can get in the gym and I can work out and release some of that. And so doing that, but then also really coming to terms with what I needed to do to feel good about being by myself, not about the things that happen around me, but about being with myself. Because oftentimes when you're going through depression or you're going through things in life, people tend to go to places and spaces that do not align with them, that do not respect them, and that do not bring value to them, simply out of not wanting to be alone. And sometimes people are scared of being alone. But what I say to that is get comfortable with yourself, really love and appreciate yourself in your alone time. And by doing that, I was able to get through what I was going through. I was able to be my own safe space so that I could, journal. I did do a certification online for professional counseling so that I could help my clients, because I had clients who would come to me about personal stuff. But then I felt like I didn't want to be biased, and I wanted to have some sort of way to navigate the conversation. So I went and got the certification. And in the process of doing that, I used it on myself. And I got to learn about some of the things that really pushed me away. So if I had to give like a behavior for anyone that might be going through loss, grieving, or just depression in general, it would be to look at the resources that are available. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. It would be to focus on your fitness. Take care of yourself. That has to be the main priority. Your fitness, your mental health, and your work-life balance. You have to say no. You have to turn off. You have to do that, because that's the main priority. Because if you don't, there's nothing, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else or anything else. So those will be my main focuses. And then last but never least, the most important, to embrace being by yourself and being able to sit with your thoughts. It's okay if they're uncomfortable. It's okay if they're a little scary. It's okay if they make you a little sad. Understand that those emotions are okay, and be able to sit with them and just sit still and not act off of that. Because that's where we lose people sometimes, literally and emotionally, where they act off of those emotions that they're feeling because they're feeling so overwhelmed. They're feeling so alone. Start to get comfortable with just sitting in that and not feeling like it's a negative thing, and not wearing shame for having these feelings, because whether someone else is going through it or not doesn't matter. It's about what you're feeling. And by doing that, I was able to create a sense of peace that I'm not willing to let go of for anyone. And that's how I was able to navigate through that. And that's how I've navigated through so many relationships, personal, business, in my life. So who would like to go next? Stephanie. Okay.
Well, first off, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. And I do want to express my condolences to you. I know what it's like to lose a parent. So definitely want to acknowledge that. My bout with depression, I want to say, started in my early adult years. And one particular moment that stands out for me, I was in my early 20s. I was working for a nonprofit as a coordinator, coordinating different things for the youth we were serving. And it was just one day I was in my office by myself. My coworker happened to not have been in yet. And I was just like over everything. I have a lot of childhood trauma. So that particular day, it just felt like everything was just coming in at once. And I felt like I had no one to talk to, no one to get me out